It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, back at it. Who knew we were going to be here? We were pretty much on alert all off season long, the longest it's taken for Larry Fitzgerald to really make a decision, but this doesn't really change a whole lot of where we were just minutes ago. It's Brack Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Thanks for following along at Locked On AZ Cards, and of course, checking us out on our YouTube channel. We're streaming live right now, YouTube, Facebook, and of course, Twitter. But the news broke just a few minutes ago that Larry Fitzgerald on his brand new radio show with Jim Gray and Tom Brady, Let's Go, Sirius XM NFL, that he just, quote, doesn't have the urge to play.
Right now.
You
could have said right now.
Here's the full clip. This is the transcript. Jim Gray, so Larry, are you going to be a radio broadcaster, or will you be back on the football field? Larry Fitzgerald, for whatever reason, wants to join our ranks. For now, I'm a radio broadcaster. Jim, to be honest with you, I don't have the urge to play right now. I don't know how I'll feel in September, October, November, moving forward. I just know today I don't have the urge. And I think I have to be respectful of that. Football is not one of those games you want to walk out there and play and not be fully engaged and ready to prepare and do things necessary that you need to do.
I mean, at this point, he's like that guy at the end of a party that either won't leave or won't or won't decide if he's going to leave or stay. It's like, well, make a decision, man. Like, listen, I've been flirting with the idea of, is this becoming selfish of Larry Fitzgerald? It's a question. Okay, we're opening up a conversation because that's where we've gotten at this point. He's 5 months removed from where he normally says, "Yo, let's roll." Normally. So what I see this as, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, I could be reading too much into it. I don't think I am.
Yeah.
Two possibilities here. I'm going to mute you. I wish Larry Fitzgerald would take over for you in that studio.
He's available.
Seemingly. Number one, the money's not worked out yet. I don't think that's it. Number two, he wants to see how good the Cardinals are midway through the season. And if that's the case, I think that would be a selfish decision on his part to set it up this way and wait until they start 5-2 or go 2-5 to make his decision. In my opinion, if that's the reason why, I feel like that would be selfish.
I hate that you're throwing the word selfish around because I think he's just being honest. And I believe
you can be honest and be selfish at the same time.
And if you want to throw selfish, it's an earned selfish. He deserves to be selfish. He was catching passes from Max Hall, at least trying to. John Navarre, John Skelton. Balls were whizzing 10 yards over his head. He's already second in every major receiving category, just behind the GOAT, Jerry Rice. It's unbelievable. I don't have any problem with him being completely honest, completely transparent with where he is. And right now, he says he doesn't have the urge to play. And I believe him when he says that. And fine. If the Arizona Cardinals suffer an injury, if A.J. Green isn't as impactful as, Louis Riddick believes he can be 2015 A.J. Green, or Rondell Moore falls in the line of the second-round picks from the last couple of years and isn't making the impact that they need, and they need wide receiver help, and Steve Keim picks up the phone and says, "Hey, Larry, I just found a little nest egg for you. Come back and play for us." I have no problem if Larry Fitzgerald is Shane Falco coming off the streets and stepping into an NFL locker room again.
Great hair. Tell you what, Keanu Reeves, fantastic hair. Not the best actor, but fantastic hair.
And not a bad spiral, compared to a
bad
lot
spiral.
Of
was anybody doing anything others on that Saturday? So much bird crap on that boat too. The only difference is Larry Fitzgerald couldn't produce last year in this offense. So you're gonna have him come back and say, you know what, Fitz, where's the smoke? Where are the doves? You're gonna be our wide receiver too. Stop it. He's going to come in as a 38-year-old, probably be misused by Cliff Kingsbury, even if he's got the juice left in the tank like we think he does. He's still, in my opinion, if there were a Pro Bowl thing that they do at the Pro Bowl for the best hands, which they definitely should do, he would win. I don't care about Odell Beckham. I don't care about DeAndre Hopkins. Larry Fitzgerald would win that competition. But misuse by the head coach last year and the year before. What makes you think that him coming in now is like going to be this secret sauce to get them to the next level if somebody gets hurt? It's asking too much. We're living in Uncle Rico past here where Larry Fitzgerald is going to be a wide receiver too. I would love it if he was a part of this roster, Bo. But yeah, I don't, this shouldn't be as big of a deal as it is.
I think that you're making a pretty large deal out of it as far as, I don't know where your expectations were given how he played and performed last year, but and why you still kind of throw it out as selfish, because we know what kind of impact Larry Fitzgerald can make, right? We know that, he's no longer wide receiver one. That belongs to DeAndre Hopkins. Can we completely throw out last season? No, but it was a very unique season. And also, I don't understand. I mean, yeah, he is 38 years old. Why do you want him? Why do you need him in the locker room right now if he's gonna if he decides to come back and play in October, November? I think that's a good thing, because you don't want to have to lean on Larry Fitzgerald for 17 games. You don't want to lean on the old vet for that long, because you know that at some point he's going to hit a wall. Why not have him come in fresh if he does come back? Why not have him come in fresh?
He ain't coming back if they start 2-4.
Well,
that's what this comes down to. So there is a wrinkle of that. Like, if the team's good, I'll jump back. And let's be clear, okay? You and I both love Larry Fitzgerald. We're saying it in very different ways right now. I think he's a very integral part of the organization. He's the best Arizona athlete, whatever. We all know that. We shouldn't have to disclaim that every time we say even 1% of an ill will thing towards Larry Fitzgerald. But if there's a situation where they start 2-4 and he doesn't come back, that's what it was about. It wasn't about anything else. It's, I'm not going to put my body through the rigors if this team isn't going to be a playoff team.
So
say that.
He's saying it right now. He doesn't have the urge to play.
He's saying it in Larry Fitzgerald fashion. He's cliche. That's Larry Fitzgerald when
I'm not buying what you're saying at all. I'm really not.
But
I'm not. You're worked up into a frenzy when this is something where you should be like, okay, Larry Fitzgerald had the greatest career of any Arizona Cardinal ever. He's an absolute
questioning
legend.
that.
Yeah. So what? And if he comes back at any point during the season, that's probably bodes well for the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to be in a good spot. They're not going to be 2-4, and he's willing to put himself in a position to get back in the daily grind of an NFL player. I mean, it's just not. I think you're working yourself up to where this is the thing that would suck is if that's the scenario happens where it's not enticing for him to come back. It really would. But what does it mean for the Arizona Cardinals right now? Because they did move forward this offseason pretty much with the idea, even though the organization said that we would welcome back with open arms, but then they went out and they got A.J. Green. Then they went out in the draft in the second round and they took Rondale Moore. So they moved. It was business as if Larry Fitz wasn't coming back. And I don't think you or I are both either shocked by this. I've been saying it all offseason long. Like, he could walk through those doors at any point.
Yes. What I think is starting to irk me and has irked me over the last couple months is about this. And listen, again, love Fitz. This isn't a personal attack. This is the situation that he puts the Cardinals in. This wouldn't happen in any other state, in any other organization than the Arizona Cardinals, because they need, like, if the fans are in uproar, Larry Legend could do whatever he wants. No, he can't. He shouldn't be able to. So the reason why I bring that up is Larry Fitzgerald has been paid 2.5 times more than any other organization would pay him over the last 3 or 4 years. I bring it up, but it's true. Larry Fitzgerald loves the Arizona Cardinals, but he's been paid by the Arizona Cardinals double what any other organization would pay him. He was the first wide receiver with the $100 million contract. I need to double check on that. It wasn't all guaranteed, obviously, especially back then when he got it. He is the most handsomely paid athlete that's a non-quarterback in NFL history, as Bo has brought up a couple times. So it's not just that he's being a good guy and staying with the Cardinals. They're paying him so much flipping money to stay here. You know what? Maybe say you're going to come back, maybe be inactive for the first couple weeks. no player ever owes it to anybody to do anything because they're the ones that are putting themselves at risk.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in this case, it's like, you know what? Come back, hold a clipboard, be a part of the organization that's paid you so much money over your playing field worth over the last 3 years. There's not an argument for that at all?
No. It wasn't Larry Fitzgerald's fault that the organization was in such a tough spot that they had to make sure they could bring back the face of their franchise because they didn't have anybody in a successor in place. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, he was paid handsomely because they needed to, and that's not on him. He didn't hold a gun to the organization's head and say, "Hey, pay me this or else." I think that the Arizona Cardinals, they paid him handsomely, and he doesn't have to come back and he doesn't have to say, "Okay, well, since you guys did this to me a couple seasons ago, I'm going to come back and hold." Did you say hold a clipboard? That's an embarrassment. That's an
proverbially.
But
be a part of the organization.
A cheerleader. He's already done. He already had to catch passes from Kevin Cobb. I mean,
you're Uncle Ricoing the situation here. That's so far removed from everything. No. There's a lot of demarcation here. It's every year. This isn't like what they did for that. They've overpaid him to make up for that. He's been the number one wide receiver, and rightfully so, obviously, throughout his whole career here. So he's not going to get the reps that he's used to. He's not going to get the pay that he's used to. So at least right now, the Cardinals need to have a good record before he comes back because it wouldn't be worth him to do it.
Right. Sam Bradford, another bad quarterback. Josh Rosen, probably the biggest bust in Arizona Cardinals draft history.
Max Hall was, oh boy.
The list goes on and on. I want to get Alex out of this. He's hysterical right now. As far as Larry Fitzgerald keeping its perspective, it's like there's no question that he's going to get a statue somewhere, probably multiple statues in the state of Arizona. What his impact has been for this organization transcends the walls of University of Phoenix State Farm Stadium, the facility in Tempe. He was more than the football player to this community. What he's done philanthropically has been incredible. If this is it for Larry Fitzgerald, I mean, what a run. What an unbelievable run. And like we say, we joke about the quarterbacks, but the fact that this guy was able to accomplish what he did with the people throwing the football and finish second, only behind Jerry Rice, is unreal. And what he did in the playoffs, nobody can match what Larry Fitzgerald did in the playoffs. I mean, his numbers, I was putting it together a couple days ago, kind of anticipating this, if we have to kind of say goodbye to Fitz, was like in a minimum 4 games, nobody comes in even close to Larry Fitzgerald as far as he averaged over 100 yards per game in the postseason and in over a score a game. He was unreal. The run to the Super Bowl, I think you would be hard pressed to find a better postseason from an NFL wide receiver in the history of the game.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, we're not arguing about that at all. I mean, the history of his game, even though it's kind of marred by national media who don't give him the credit he deserves, there are a bunch of people, especially people that played the game, that put Terrell Owens and Randy Moss ahead of him, among others, because, he never won anything. And the fact that the list of quarterbacks that had him throwing the ball, as you mentioned multiple times, we talked about a lot, should almost double his numbers, add 30% to touchdowns and wide receiving numbers. But that's not what we're talking about here. Like, yes, I agree. In the history of time, he'll go down as the best.
I wanted to get that.
And yeah, sure. I mean, it's a good just reminder of who we're talking about and why this may be the most uncomfortable conversation we've had this offseason. You and me, maybe right now, where it's just like, what are we doing next?
Well, it's because you want to be all up in arms about this. You
I think it's borderline selfish, yes.
You demand Larry Fitzgerald to make a decision right now that he doesn't even know the answer to himself. And he's earned the right to be honest and open that I don't have the urge right now. I don't know how I'm going to feel in September. I don't know how I'm going to feel in October. And you can read into it and you can try to make your own assumptions. I just don't. Why?
If the Cardinals start 3-0, Larry Fitzgerald's going to be an Arizona Cardinal.
Especially because of what his impact's going to make. Because if Larry Fitzgerald walks to the door right now, as what we saw in week 1 of the preseason and what we've been hearing about AJ Green and DeAndre Hopkins is there. We know what DeAndre Hopkins brings to the table. What is his role? Wide receiver 4? Why Why get worked up about it? I mean, if he comes in and he gets a catch
because
a
it's
game,
still a story. It shouldn't be a story. He's taking away from all of the storylines for the actual organization that he's not a part of right now.
We live in a world where there's it's multimedia. There's enough room. It doesn't mean like, hey, we can't talk about Fitz and talk about how we're excited about year 3 of Kyler Murray. I mean, I don't understand. Like, there's room for everything. You're just over here up in arms about.
No, I'm not. It's just it shouldn't be a story, and it's a story constantly. Whenever you bring it up on Twitter, it's all these. It's people like he can do whatever he wants. People aren't thinking rationally, in my opinion. This should not be a story. There's a game in 4 hours. That should be the story, not what Larry Fitzgerald's going to do.
There is a game in 4 hours. We will not see Andy Isabella. Andrew wants to know what he thinks this means for Andy. Ooh. Does he have a shot now? Look, I don't know if I don't think this changes how the team's going. I think Andy Isabella is probably going to make this team. He's entering his 3rd season. He's under contract for 4. They've shown that even when they feel like guys have run their course, like Hassan Reddick, they bring them back and they just squeeze and wring out whatever's left in that washcloth, unless they do something stupid off the field like Robert Kindici did. I think Andy Isabella will probably be, on this roster as far as his role. I don't think this impacts his role. Andy Isabella impacts his own role.
Can I ask you a question? What does Andy Isabella do really well?
Runs fast.
Okay. Why is he not returning punts or kicks?
He's on the depth chart as that.
Sure.
I mean, he just hasn't been able to get on the field.
Well, that's a way to get him on the field, in my opinion. So why not try it out? You don't want, so if you have Christian Kirk or Rondell Moore returning, those guys are too integral into the offense. See if Andy Isabella can figure out a role, carve a role in where he catches ball from air, runs faster than many, goes around blocks, and scores touchdown. Like, let's just see if he can do something, catch the ball and run fast.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing him down to our cave or Neanderthal.
I want to make it as simple for Andy as possible. Catch ball, run fast, score touchdown.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I'm more with Ron, but I think that Andy Isabella, it's all on him. I don't think Larry Fitzgerald does it open up a roster spot? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what the team does. The pipe dream that I've seen too of the tight end, Larry Fitzgerald needs to come back and play tight end. I never believed in that. If Larry Fitz is going to come in, he's going to get a token reception a week, and keep that catch streak going. And, they might target him on getting a big 3rd, 4th down conversion because of those sure hands if he does come back. But it's going to be a crowded room if he does.
And we are going to see Budda Baker tonight. Just news and notes. He tweeted out he's excited to play football in the number 3. So I'm assuming we'll see Kyler too if they're going to run out with the ones. Should be a fun half of football, Bo. Why don't you let them know what we're doing?
Yeah, halftime. We are going to have our second Locked On Cardinals halftime show. We're going to break down all the things that we witnessed just happen in the first half of football between the Arizona Cardinals and the Chiefs. We got our question here from Andrew. We can't answer all these. We're pretty much making this about Fitz. What do we think about the tight end position? It is basically the biggest weak spot, the biggest void they have on offense. But yeah, we're going to pretty much wrap things up right now as far as Larry Fitzgerald. He said on his brand new radio show, Let's Go, on Sirius XM NFL Radio, he said, quote, "I don't have the urge to play right now." He also followed that up saying, "I don't know how I'm going to feel in September. I don't know how I'm going to feel in October. I don't know how I'm going to feel in November or December. But right now, I don't have the urge." So Larry Legend, 17 seasons as it stands right now, and we can change this, saying goodbye to the game.
Let me give you one more, just, the outlier here. If they start 1-2 and Larry Fitzgerald, Tim Tebow's it and comes in, and I will eat all of the words and Bo will shave his head. He told me that. So if I'm wrong, Bo is going to shave his head to show unity in the Locked On Cardinals podcast. I have the text. So, but I mean, all joking aside, if they start 1-2 when he comes back, I will eat my words and I will say, you know what? Apologies, I was wrong. I just don't think that's the case. I just don't.
Check us out at Locked On AZ Cards on Twitter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel here if you're watching along. We appreciate it. Hit like on any of our videos. We've got a huge library of videos already in place. Follow Alex at Clancy's Corner at BOBRECK. Tonight, halftime. Locked our Cardinals and Chiefs. Can't wait to break it down. No Larry Fitzgerald because he's just like us. He's just a talking head, just talking into a microphone. Just a couple scrubby scrubs talking to a microphone. That's who Larry Fitzgerald is now. Wait, once he realizes he's with us, he's going to go right back to playing. No doubt about it. Thanks for listening and watching, guys.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon.